Mikey Gucci. Kid, we going out on this motherfucker.
Anytime that we in VIP, they say the zoo in town. Turkey seller fences going wild, yeah, doing clowns. Monkey niggas talking shit, I can make them see. Have my Africans eat his face like he's some bushmeat. Animals, we animals, nah, we ain't playing fair. Dog show, got 20 pretty bitches prancing over here, sweating like a dog, oh, and I need my H2O. I'ma grab your ass and get you good before the night is over. Don't need about 30 bottles, jungle juice is going on. Sharamo and Rose women, whatever they pouring on. Bite that pill and tranquilize. Now they got that monkey loose. She fuck gorillas, we gorillas, then you and your monkey cool. I'm going, I'm going, I'm going out. 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 I'm going, I'm going, I'm going out.
Claim your Africanness. I'm telling you, when you claim your Africanness, you're going to get your mind back. And you're going to get your intelligence back. I'll guarantee you. Education. And when they take responsibility in terms of their own Africanness and their own identity, when they don't spend all of their lives trying to escape from their Africanness, when they don't believe that to be called African is a curse. You see, when they don't run from their Africanness, but they run to it, and they embrace it, and they become a part of it. Let's see what happens to their learning when they decide and say out loud that I'm black and I'm proud, and that I'm African and I'm proud. And of individuals, society exists outside African people. That is logically impossible. And it's a stupidity that's perpetrated on the populations of our people, and often leads to serious misunderstandings, both of ourselves and of our situation.
I'm a freedom fighter, Dalai Lama from a weed supplier. I'm Muhammad to the rap game, that's my last name. My first should be Elijah, and I need a choir. Freak a flyer, gold medallion, Jesus peace. I'm the one, the real Jesus Maya, cause I'm trying to get niggas to leave the street. And I don't need to be, cause I can easily speak to these niggas through the frequencies to compete with me. You gon' need a priest to preach your sweetest needs, to give a hell of an Easter speech. I keep the heat right there underneath the seat. Got pulled over by the police this week. They asked me why I got this fully loaded piece with me. I say, officer, I'm just trying to make it home peacefully. So I'm riding with a rifle, another iron in the Bible. Call my niggas out in Paris, have them climb up the Eiffel. We don't give a fuck, cause it's all about survival. When you caught up in the cycle, when you feel like you entitled to more than what you get in it, to turn you homicidal. Y'all know that I'm the best, but I swear I'm in denial. And they don't wanna say it, cause I'm better than they idol. Got the mind of a disciple when I'm rocking the revival. But I'm soon to be the king, fuck you and your team. Bada boom, bada bing. If you don't like the way I rule my regime, let the motherfucker June niggas spring. I'm Desmond Tutu, mixed with the Zeus of the Zulus. I'm the leader of the new school. Man, I swear I'm starting to feel like Mandela. Nelson. I'm with my troops who feel like Nelson. All these niggas wanna kill Nelson. Y'all gon' make me do 20 years like Nelson. Now I'm starting to feel like Nelson Mandela. 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 Side high. Nelson Mandela. Yeah, Nelson Mandela. Get to know your ancestors. Can't tell me they ain't jealous of a time trying to sell a Nick just to get the car with the trunk in the front. Shouted that's an elephant, intelligent nigga with hella sense. Speak with such eloquence ever since I've been on a regiment. Niggas been upset with Prince, but let them bend while I start a revolution. Seem like when you work hard, you never get your retribution. Niggas sending threats, but I keep something with me. Sound like dooku 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 when I'm shooting. The same ones that was sending Huey Newton. Prince to a king, you don't see the evolution. 20 years in the PM, and that's really execution. So I encourage each and every student to stay in school, play it cool, obey the rules, or pay your dues, make a move, take a tool, or write some raps, make a mixtape with Clue. And you could be dope as me, April Fool boy. Trying to get 40 acres in the mule boy. Rhyme with 40 acres in the two-door. I feel like Lorenz Tate in the pool hall. Right before Terrence Howard at the Newport. I'm with my troops in the field like all these niggas wanna kill. Y'all gon' make me do 20 years like man, I'm starting to feel like Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela. I'm starting to feel like Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela. Nelson Mandela. I'm starting to feel like
Man, peace to everybody in the chat. It's your boy Sean P in the place to be. Please like the show, share the show, tell a friend, we're live. As you can see, what I have on the screen today is the new September edition of the Asili magazine has released free for the streets. If you're unfamiliar with that, go on Kofi Pie Size Piche. Piche is what they say over there in the motherland. Piche, Kofi Piche. Go on this Facebook page, Instagrams, etc., and hit link and check the magazines out for the free. I told him he should be charging, but it is what it is right now. Man, I hope all is well and well is all. It's been a while since I've been on this this particular channel. But you know, this was inspired by Ogun Bola. And as you can see, Ogun ain't even here today. He must be in church this Sunday afternoon. It must be revival week for Ogun. You know what I'm saying? But maybe he'll pop up or appear a little later on, you feel me? You know what I'm saying? But I do want to say peace to Brother Keenan in the chat. Happy belated birthday. Timmy Turner, got Fire in the building. Fat-headed ass Mika in the building. Even the big bar reloaded is in the building. I don't know us is in the building, but there's some people in the building. You know what I'm saying? They haven't commented yet. I really don't expect a lot of people to appear today. But if there's an anti-vaxxer or someone that is in complete opposition of whatever I may say during this bill, man, you got to ask for the link. We can get straight to it. You know what I'm saying? We can get straight all the way to it. But like I said, this show was inspired by Ogun Bola. We was on the bar reloaded yesterday, and I joined late, and they were trying to catch me up on some shenanigans that was going on in the community, whatever had transpired. And we kind of got that cleared up in this, you know, and it is what it is with the rest of it. But they were asking me some stuff, and you know, he said why I wasn't talking about certain things. And the reason that I wasn't talking about certain things is because the community that we're in, the people that are involved in the community, and the efforts of other people around the world are not really, I mean, the focus to attention is not on this subject matter. Yeah, that was Sada Prince Mandela. You know what I'm saying? Sahai. Yeah, that was him. Yeah. But I said our people ain't focused on what's going on with Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the state of Florida because they're distracted with the whole Young Thug leaks, phone conversations, and who's a rat and who ain't a rat, who's slime, who ain't slime, who slimed out this person, that person, or the third. I was kind of giving my opinion about that, and I'm gonna stand on that, you know, just to keep people in the loop about that. From my perspective, you know, Gunna took a plea. He took an alpha plea. So whatever he signed in his plea deal, which had to deal with factual acknowledgments, which were drawn up and written by the state. Every member, all 28 people that was on the indictment, except for the last 6, 22 of the 28 people had to sign some type of factual acknowledgments. Now, Duke's acknowledgments look a little bit different than everybody else's because there was a situation where he actually pled guilty to. However, as you could tell, you could tell from what I'm saying, I basically watched all 2 years of this whole thing. Now, Thug's conversations have been leaking since he's been in jail, but it wasn't these phone calls that were being leaked. It was his private phone calls with Mariah the Scientist and other women he was speaking to that were intentionally leaked. Once this case was over and Brian still made an attempt to go and redeem all of Thug's belongings that had been taken. Remember, they took like a $500,000 watch that can't nobody find. So once they did that, and he won this, right? The forfeiture. He won it. So now he get all his stuff back. Now, phone calls about the between Thug and his old lady have leaked. And in those conversations, you hear a frustrated, pissed off, hurt little boy. And I say little boy is because he's in jail, 4 walls, has no friends, no communication. He don't know what he's facing. He know he's up against something, and there ain't much that he could do about it. So he's in fight or flight mode. He's expressing his hurt feelings mode, basically, because not everybody but a handful of people are kind of effing with him and doing him a favor and things like that. So our community is more interested in that, right? The drama, the attention to whose names coming out, who took what plea, didn't they all take a plea, and what's going on with that. The reason that people are invested in that more so than their own fucking personal health is because they invested their time, just like other people have over the past few years, watching that whole goddamn trial, right? And trying to keep up with what was going on, and they was in the courtroom every day, this, that, and the third. So they don't know that while all of this Young Thug and gun stuff is going on and Diddy is going on, there's someone in the office by the name of Robert F. Kennedy. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is an anti-vaxxer. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is really the black sheep of his own family. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. made his money going after big pharma, I should say. The perspective of vaccines, right? He was one of those people that would argue for someone who claimed to have been injured by vaccine administration, saying that it was painful, it was this, it was that. Then he would mix in some other claims going on. What the people he was representing didn't know, and what the public didn't know, is how those courts are set up. You're likely to win those cases and settle out because people don't want to waste their time, money, and energy into fighting certain situations. So if you went into the courts, there are, you can go in, fight whatever, and then, they had these small settlements. They broke it down to where these individuals who, you know, had these claims and filed these claims would win these small settlements. Well, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. found his hustle doing that. And he became one of the biggest advocates for vaccines, right? It was, yeah, using trial lightly because it definitely was a shit show. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr. was definitely, you know, he made his mark like that. Now, you might think, how was he in a position to head the HHS, which is a same department that he attacked for years, being an anti-vaxxer and leading the anti-vaccine community? Well, they try to say that he no longer is practicing X, Y, and Z, so that would make him eligible for nomination. However, earlier on in his nomination, he faced attacks from some right wing pundits and all out blast left, right? So the left and some of the right wing were totally against his nomination. However, because it was Trump's nomination and because of the pressure of the Republican Party is under Trump, he was able to get confirmed and pass. More than likely, all of Trump's confirmations really, but maybe 2 or 3 of them didn't pass. And that was, I think, little kids or something serious was dealing, you know, going on with those confirmations. However, Robert F. Kennedy assumes office. The first thing that he wants to say he want to take a look at, right, is changing certain things in certain food products and cereal and things like that, changing up the lunch programs, not even trying to really have free lunch like that, but changing up some of the things that are offered in those lunches, saying that they are harmful or hurtful to the human body. The evidence he has is his own, because he still hasn't shown the evidence of certain dyes and colors that will be harmful to the body at certain usage. You have to remember, if you drink too much water too fast, you could die. I'm just saying, you just grabbing a gallon of water and just chugging, you potentially could kill yourself. So too much of anything could be harmful. Just like the old aluminum argument when they were talking about it in vaccines, unaware of the type of aluminum that was being argued. That's another conversation. So I say that we black people are not wanting to have the discussion or focus on the shit that's going on with the Department of HHS, because we invested the last few years of our lives on Young Thug and the shit show trial, right? We learned all about all the people involved, except for the people earlier on in the case, all played out. One of the main people that had the least amount of time was Gunner. He was only facing 2 years. And they was trying to get him on the situation. Gunner entrusted in his lawyer, unaware that he didn't have to sign any factual acknowledgments. He could have stuck to the Alford plea, but this was early on, and there wasn't a team of people that could have these conversations to be able to come up with an argument to defend themselves against the state. Out of ignorance, a lot of these people closely tied to Thug copped these pleas because they were trying to get home individually. So they're going to say whatever the state want them to say, whether they believed it or not. That's the other part of the argument, whether they believed it or not. So more people are more interested in that than the mere fact that we have a state, the first state in the United States, to say that they're going to get rid of vaccine mandates. Then we have an HHS department that's running around here, and the lead of the HHS department saying that autism is caused by Tylenol. And he supposedly has a study that's going to do that. And he also has a vaccine committee that he is putting together. And on the vaccine committee, There is a gentleman that I have refuted and debunked on this show. I'm going to give you his name. And some people should know exactly who Dr. Robert Malone is. He was loud, proud, and debunked during the whole early stages of the pandemic. Robert Malone, right, was originally working with the mRNA vaccine. If you have my book, What SARS-CoV-2 Taught Me, Robert Malone in the book. Anyways, he is a committee member. When he was interviewed about what potentially could come out of the HHS, he told the HHS that he believed that Robert Kennedy Jr. was going to link, right? He was going to link Tylenol, vaccines, and something else to autism, ignoring the double-blind placebo test that had already been done by JAMA Networks, which is, you know, big science. I'm saying big science sarcastically. The scientific study that was done on it had already been published, and this information had already been readily available. Yet they ignored the science. So no one cares that Robert Malone is a committee member. No one cares that Robert Kennedy Jr. is making up shit every day. No one cares. No one cared that he said that he was wrong about measles, mumps, rubella, and kids should be vaccinated, and then they act like he never said this shit. No one cares. It took kids in Texas dying for the dude to say that I'm not the scientist, so I can't really say. However, yada, 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 yada. No one cares. But what we do care about is who told on who. They're gonna snitch. We all know what he snitched. We saw the interrogations, and he took the stand. He on people paperwork. That's a snitch. I don't care nothing about the videos, the interrogation room, none of that. That's the police trying to finesse them and them trying to finesse the police. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. If you get on the stand and testify against people that you was riding down with, regardless if you're trying to help them or not, use this, you as the state's witness, that's bad. That's what we care about. That's what we care about. Now, I want to open up the show. I'm glad people are here, man. But I want to open up the show. Actually, before I open up the show, let me say real quick. Why do we give a damn about Thug, Gunna, Woody, Lucci? Why do we care? Why do we give a fuck? The streets been dead. Other people have proved that. Yeah, you still can get money. This, that, and the third. There's always going to be a dark business. Somewhere, somehow, people get into it. But why do we care? The only reason that we so invested in these people is because of what we've grown to know them for over the trial period. Had Thug came home, never said a goddamn word, still been pissed at Gunna, never had a conversation with Gunna, Thug still gonna feel the way he feel. He think Gunner was like, F you, I'm done with you, whatever. And he hurt. Get over it. He just told y'all in the interview, he hurt. He real life hurt. He was crying about it hurt in the interview. So it's bigger than that. It's not the Woodies. It's not Yaks. It's not nobody else's that cop the plea. The only person that he is mad at is Gunner. But why do you care? He is emotionally invested into Gunner. His feelings hurt. But why do you care? Your kid's life is at stake. Do you not care? Your health is at stake. It's not important to you? What about your parents and grandparents? Is that more important? No. Sitting on Instagram. Every other post that pops up is about what they want it to be about, and none of that shit is focused on why we're here today. None of it. So I want to bring a familiar face on. Everybody should know who he is. His name is Stephen Racaniello. You see this dude over here in the top right-hand corner? His name is Daniel Griffin. There's a very significant story about this dude right here named Daniel Griffin. Y'all can see him. He was fired by Trump. Him and Paul Offit, both fired by the head of the HHS and the president, intentionally. But we're gonna listen to Vincent Racaniello real quick, so we can let the beat build.
Hello, I'm Vincent Racaniello, and today I'd like to talk to you about the U.S. Centers for Disease Control, the CDC, which has been in the news recently, as you may know. But you may not know that just a few days ago, a group of individuals, former CDC directors, published an opinion piece in the New York Times. And here it is. We ran the CDC. Kennedy is endangering every American's health. And I think this is a really important piece, and I didn't think many people see it. The New York Times is paywalled, and a lot of people just don't read it. So what is this about? Well, as you know, a few weeks ago, the CDC got a new director, Dr. Susan Monterez. She was actually confirmed by the U.S. Senate. She's a scientist, a PhD, with specialties in immunology and vaccinology. And she was fired just a few weeks later. RFK Jr., the head of Health and Human Services.
I want y'all to make sure that y'all just heard what he said. She was hired. And then a few weeks later, she was fired. What was her credentials?
Fired just a few weeks later, immunology and vaccinology, by the U.S. Senate. She's a scientist, a PhD, with specialties in immunology and vaccinology. And she was fired just a few weeks later. RFK Jr., the head of Health and Human Services, which CDC is a part of, tried to fire her, and then eventually the White House had to fire her because RFK Jr. can't do that. It's not in his job description to be able to fire the CDC head. Anyway, this opinion piece written by 7 former CDC directors, basically lamenting what's going on at CDC. And they say, collectively, we have spent over 100 years working at CDC. Now, these are 7 different people appointed in both Republican and Democratic administrations who got to run the CDC as they saw fit, weren't interfered with, were never told to do something. Now, we are told that Dr. Monterez was asked by RFK Jr. to fire certain people within the CDC, and she refused to do that. And he also asked her to rubber stamp all the decisions made by the Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices, the ACIP, which he has stacked with anti-science, anti-vaccine people. So she said, no, I'm not going to approve everything that they say. And then he said, well, you're fired. And we know what happened to that. So these 7 individuals said we wouldn't have agreed to his demands either. They're absurd. A director gets to do what they want. If you appoint someone to direct something, you have faith that they're going to do the right thing. And I like what they write here. They say this whole situation is something the country has never experienced before. He's also fired thousands of workers at the CDC. He's weakened programs designed to protect Americans from various diseases. He had the largest outbreak of measles in many, many years in the US. He did nothing to encourage vaccination, but only alternative, unproven methods. He has, as I said, loaded up the ACIP with people who have no qualification to be there. He has eliminated US support for overseas vaccine programs, which save many, many lives every year, particularly from HIV/AIDS. And of course, he supports this idea of cutting Medicaid to leave people uninsured. And so they say, this is unacceptable. It should alarm every American, regardless of political leanings. I think you need to understand that. This is not a political thing. Well, they're making it a political thing, but whether you're a Republican or Democrat or independent or whatever, you should be concerned about your health and what's going on is helping you. Now, they go through the situation here, which is quite interesting in this article. They say, when Kennedy administered the oath of office to Dr. Monterez on July 31st, he called her a public health expert with unimpeachable scientific credentials. Then, when she refused to rubber stamp everything he asked for, he decided she was expendable, no longer a scientific expert. And as they say, none of us would have agreed to those demands. And so I guess they would have been all fired in the current administration. They go on to talk about why the CDC has been important. A big achievement of CDC, of course, was working with HHS to develop COVID vaccines very rapidly, but they've done many other things over the years as well. And they agree that it's not perfect, but what is perfect? Well, besides microbe TV, no, I'm just kidding. Microbe TV isn't perfect either. In the end, they have a message for the nation. It's time to rally to protect the health of every American. Congress must exercise its oversight over HHS. State and local governments have to kick in to protect the funding gaps wherever they can. Philanthropy has to play a role. Give money, folks, to get these health systems back up and running. And they end by saying, the people who work at CDC deserve an HHS secretary who stands up for health, supports science, and has their back. So too does this country.
This not as important as who is a snake, who is a rat, and listen to Young Thug jail phone calls between him and Mariah the scientist as he vents and confides in her about his emotional state while being locked up. We just heard what Vincent Racaniello, Dr. Vincent Racaniello, had to say. The behavior of Robert F. Kennedy Jr. hires a qualified candidate to direct and lead a department. But because she wouldn't co-sign the ignorance or back the stupidity, she was hired and then fired. She became that expendable because she would not. A qualified director, scientist. You heard him in immunology and vaccine. That's what her expertise was in. Fired, let go. Because of his bull junk. This ain't Woody. Maybe if Woody talking about vaccines, people would listen. We can get him on the stand. We can get a vaccine trial featuring Lil Woody. I don't recall. It's more engaging. But here we are. And I said this when he was being nominated. He's going to put us at risk. And that's everybody. Why am I saying he's going to put us at risk? Earlier, for those of you who are joining in late, earlier I had made mention to an article. A claim that was made by him. So inside of that claim, right, it says what the science says about vasectomy, pregnant mothers, and autism. So look at this. Hold on, let me mute this video. All right. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has in recent months teased the September announcement in which he would identify the cause of autism. Why in the holy hell is he teasing months ago about a September announcement claiming to identify the cause of autism? This dude is a lawyer. He's not a scientist. He's in no lab. He's doing no research, no studies, and not cross-referencing a damn thing. This same fool in 2019 was debating Unc West on Sinetta TV. You're about to tell me a mother freaker that was just on Sinetta December 2019 debating Unc West or Unc Coquette. You finna tell me that this motherfucker is qualified to identify what causes autism? It said this week, some close to Trump's administration and one major news outlet suggested Kennedy could point in the direction of an acceptable used for drug. Well, just say aspirin. Goddamn. During pregnancy is a possible link. Tylenol, y'all. Look. The Wall Street Journal reported Friday that Kennedy was planning to announce a link between autism and Tylenol used by pregnant women, as well as autism and low levels of folate, an essential vitamin that helps the body produce its cells, among potential causes. NBC News has not confirmed the reporting. Tylenol's active ingredient, anacetamine, a drug that is known as an analgesic, I can't never say this word. Analgesic which can help with pain relief. Many over-the-counter drugs contain. I'm looking in the chat. The man needs to be stopped. Look at old Goon. He said, watching my stock. Oh yeah, the Falcons is trash. And acceptable. Now, Andrew Nixon, the spokesman from the Department of Health, from Health and Human Services, in the email, we're using gold standard. Listen to this. Listen to this. A spokesperson. We are using gold standard science to get to the bottom of America's unprecedented rise in autism rates. Gold standard science. Until we release the final report, any claims about its contents are nothing more than speculation. Kinvu, the company that makes Tylenol, said in a statement, nothing is more important to us than the health and safety of people who use our products. We have continuously evaluated the science and continue to believe there is no causal link between and acceptamine use during pregnancy and autism. Here we go. Shares of Kevin New dropped, so they lost money after this was published. Okay, whatever. 2 people in Trump's administration teased a report earlier this week. Somebody posted on Twitter X that the use of Tylenol by pregnant women was under scrutiny by HHS. The same day, Dr. Robert Pseudo-Ass Malone, whom Kennedy recently appointed to the CDC Prevention's Independent Vaccine Advisory Committee, said in an appearance on One America News Network that he thought Kennedy was preparing to link Tylenol, vaccinations, and autism. I'm stuck. I'm telling y'all right now, I'm so stuck on Robert Malone being a part of any committee after watching him blunderfully fuck up mRNA arguments. Doctors and researchers in decades studying acetaminophen and the active ingredient in Tylenol broadly found it to be the safest option for pain relief during pregnancy. The bulk of the scientific literature suggests no link between autism and exposure to acetaminophen in the womb. They already have published the goddamn studies. He ignored it. Here we go. One of the most robust studies to date, like I told y'all, the Journal of the American Medical Association was dropped right here. Again, JAMA, that's JAMA. So anytime you see me refer to a JAMA source, that's the Journal of American Medical Association. They run all the, they publish all the double-blind placebo tests. They get to all of that. Initially, when researchers looked at the general population, there was a very small increased risk of the disorder in children whose mothers took acetaminophen while pregnant. However, after the research compiled siblings within the same family, one exposed the drug during pregnancy and the other not, found no link. We are able to adjust for things that we saw that other people might have missed before, Brian Lee, one of the authors associated with the epidemiology at Drexel University, said. Dr. Joshua Gordon, a psychiatrist and scientist at Columbia University, via email says, there is some controversy in the field, but it seems clear to me that the risk is low to non-existent. He added that RFK Jr. and those he supports have a long history of ignoring very large-scale, well-controlled studies, such as the JAMA paper promoting findings from much smaller studies and those with suspect methods. I'm not going to read too much more into this. I did leave it in the link for those of you who may be interested, and I recommend that you pay attention to it. But more importantly, when you see this, press play. So, let's get into the real spiel and the real deal. A few days ago, some shit went down. I don't know if you're aware of it or not. I don't know if you're aware of it or not. Because we've been so fucking consumed in Gunna and Young Thug that we don't know that some shit went down the other day. Yeah, more than just this Tylenol claim went down. Right? More than that. NPR published this article on the 4th of September. It says senators from both parties agreed with RFK Jr. on vaccines and more. Look at this dumbass motherfucker. He got throat cancer. Can barely talk. It says, In a contentious Senate hearing marked by raised voices and heated exchanges, the HHS Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., faced calls to resign from Democrats and unexpected criticisms from Republicans. Several Republican senators brought up the legacy of President Donald Trump's Operation Warp Speed, which sent a safe COVID vaccine to the public in record time. Remember, Donald Trump, listen to me. Trump wants 1,000% of the credit for mRNA vaccine, yet it is the lower class, poor, trailer trash ass bams that think that the mRNA vaccine is a problem, and dumb black people. The poor Trump supporters and dumb black people have a problem with mRNA vaccines, yet Trump wants 1,000% credit for Operation Warp Speed. Listen to what they said about Operation Warp Speed, and then think about all the bullshit we continue to hear from people who voted for Trump. They get quiet right here. Operation Warp Speed, which sent a safe COVID vaccine to the public in record time, helping save millions of lives. They pushed Kennedy to explain his current approach to the shots and mRNA technology. This is coming from Republicans. So I'm just going to show y'all how stupid people are in this world, in this day and age, with information right under our fingertips, where the president will tell you don't get vaccinated, but wants the credit for the goddamn vaccine. Maybe if it was Lil Woody, we would listen. Under his leadership, the health agency canceled hundreds of millions of dollars in research funding on mRNA technology. Facts, he did, because it was already in play. Obama had some shit in play already before Trump even arrived at office, researching the fucking SARS-CoV. They had SARS-CoV research in the works in mRNA technology already in the works, and he canceled this shit. But he won't credit. He said millions of dollars in research funding in mRNA technology for future vaccines, and the Food and Drug Administration limited access to COVID shots, saying only people at high risk of complications from COVID are those over 65. Now this motherfucker has said only people over the age of 65. Are you serious? So why was kids dying? Huh? What about the middle-aged athletic people who were well trained and in shape? What about them dying from COVID? What about them? I mean, it's stupid. Anyway, President Trump deserves listen to what they're saying. This is the problem with the message about the non-vaxxers. Listen to this. The Republicans are saying that he deserves a Nobel Prize for Operation Warp Speed. Bill Cassidy, a Louisiana Republican, said, whose vote was critical in Kennedy's confirmation. He confirmed Kennedy, but he turned around and said that Trump deserves an Operation Warp Speed Nobel Peace Prize. He demanded Kennedy explain his changing stance on COVID vaccines and said, effectively, we're denying people vaccine, an assertion by many physicians, groups including the American Association of Pediatrics and the American Medical Association. Cassidy had exacted assurances from Kennedy during the confirmation process in February that he would not restrict American access to vaccines. A promise the senator now accuses Kennedy of violating. His own fucking party is coming out saying, bro, I'm going to confirm you But you gotta promise me that Americans will still have access to these vaccines. Kennedy like, yeah. Y'all gonna have access. This is a Republican. This is from Louisiana. One of the most ignorant, outside of Alabama, but where and Mississippi, where some of the most ignorant people are in them backwoods. He's saying, bro, we need access to vaccines. Kennedy like, yeah, I'm gonna get you access. And now he going back on the shit he told dude who confirmed him. So now the dude pissed off. So here's what happened. He said Kennedy fired the entire 17-member advisory panel on immunization practices at the CDC and prevention, replacing them with members Cassidy argued are largely unscientific vaccine skeptics with vested financial interests in suing vaccine makers. You know, how Kennedy was making his money on. I tried to set y'all up to tell y'all that this dude was a pure failure from the beginning. But y'all didn't want to listen to me because it wasn't Thug. It wasn't Gunner. It wasn't Woody. It wasn't Yak. It wasn't Uchi. It wasn't Rollo. It wasn't Duke. It wasn't Uncle. It wasn't SB. His name don't even come up no none of the conversations. SB ain't said nothing. He took a low approach. He beat Murder and Rico and shut the fuck up. And he fought the case from the beginning to the end. But because it ain't none of them, it don't matter. The Republican guy that confirmed this is pissed off now because Kennedy fired every entrusted person regarding this immunization practice and replaced them with people who are unscientific and vaccine skeptics, and their special interest is in suing vaccine makers. Yeah. So if I was rapping, y'all would catch that shit. That was Young Thug. Come on, man. We ain't interested in this. That's what I'm saying. Then another Republican physician on the Senate Finance Committee, Dr. John Barrazo of Wyoming, joined Democrats in criticizing Kennedy for undermining vaccines. In your confirmation hearing, you promised to uphold highest standards for vaccine. Since then, I've grown deeply concerned. Barrasso told Kennedy at the hearing, I've been hearing from many of my medical colleagues, and there are real concerns that safe, proven vaccines like measles, like hepatitis B and others could be in jeopardy, and that would put Americans at risk and reverse decades of progress. He expressed concern that Kennedy could politicize vaccines further and undermine public health. The CDC leadership change debated. Kennedy hotly defended his decisions and statements on vaccines and on changes at the CDC, arguing the agencies have historically relied on bad data. Guess what he didn't do? He didn't provide the bad data. He said that they have historically relied on bad data, and he never brought the bad data. So how could you come to a conclusion, you being a lawyer and not a scientist, you're not in a lab and you don't know anything about vaccine science, how could you come to the conclusion historically that the data was bad? Peep game. These changes were absolutely necessary adjustments to restore the agency to its role as the world's gold standard. There go that word again, gold standard public health agency, he said. He claimed he had the backing of scientists and doctors are supporting me all across the country. Name a doctor and a scientist that fucking is riding with RFK. Robert Malone. Pseudo. And that's the only person I can think of. Senators also repeatedly asked Kennedy about his decision to push out newly confirmed CDC chief Susan Monterez. Remember that name? We just heard a video about it from Dr. Vincent Racaniello. Though she was his own pick to lead the agency, he said Monterez was lying when she claimed she was fired from the job after only a month for insisting on rigorous scientific review. In response to questions from Senator Elizabeth Warren, Kennedy said, I told her she had to resign because I asked her, are you a trustworthy person? And she said no. What the fuck? Trump administration allies like Republican Ron Johnson of Wisconsin rushed to his defense, calling the senator's pointed questions abuse and lauding Kennedy for his attempts to overhaul health agencies. Tarhaka just said that I don't know no doctors in the NOI because they pseudo as fuck. We done dealt with the NOI as well. Heard me and Unc battling they bullshit. Unscientific ass shit they trying to push on black people. Look, I'm not going to read the full of this one. It's almost over with, but I'm not going to read the full of this one. I'm stopping right there because I got to keep hitting on some significant points. Get the likes up. Share the show. Shit. I told y'all, if I came over here talking about some drama, man, y'all would have been turned up in the chat. I'd have had about 1,100,000 people in here. So here goes some takeaways from the hearing. And I'm only going to get into a couple of them. You can tell this motherfucker lying by the way he look in the face. Struggling to speak. I'm going to get straight to the takeaways because this is just basically talking about some things we've already mentioned. Look at him. Look, finna fucking lie. Kennedy tried to discredit ousted CDC director. Kennedy repeatedly disputed the account of fired CDC director Susan Monterez was removed from her post last week after less than a month on the job. Monterez was nominated by Donald Trump, endorsed for the job by Kennedy, and confirmed by the Senate vote in July. In a Wall Street Journal op-ed published Thursday, Monterez reiterated that she was told to pre-approve recommendations by Kennedy's hand-picked vaccine advisors, many of whom have records of questioning basic vaccine science. I asked her, are you a trustworthy person? She said no. Kennedy stated, explaining his change in opinion on Monterez. If you had an employee who told you they weren't trustworthy, would you ask them to resign? An attorney representing Monterez called Kennedy's statements false and patently ridiculous in a written statement. Her attorney says she will repeat the allegations in her Wall Street Journal op-ed under oath. Later in the hearing, Kennedy acknowledged that he told Monterez to fire several senior CDC officials, Offit being one of them, Griffin being one of them, Throughout the hearing, Kennedy accused the agency scientists of failing to combat chronic disease and making unsound recommendations during the pandemic. The people at the CDC who oversaw that process, who puts masks on our children, who closed our schools, are the people who will be leaving. This motherfucker says that anybody who closed the school and put masks on children's face should be fired. Let that shit sink in. Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. Hold on. I got something for y'all. Maybe this will entertain y'all real quick. 1 second.
I got 3 white bitches like it's powder day. White meat coat with the rolls like a Sharpay. And all of my bitches says they call them Barbies. She looking like a baby, no way. And lately I've been on that real chick, I got a chick. Yeah, I done got me a chick, I got a chick.
That's what y'all like. It's entertain the people. What I'm trying to say to y'all is, this man got his check and he's running crazy with it right now. We confirmed a fucking lunatic at the head of the HHS. Masking a child is a crime in your eyes? That's bad? That is an attempt to prevent the child from spreading something and the person and the other child from spreading something to the other child. The science behind the mask proved it. Unmasked people could spread the virus of any type at a certain radius that a masked person could not. So the prevention of the spread of said virus is what the mask was for. You're just making stuff up. A combative Kennedy lobbed attacks. For Kennedy, tough questions from angry senators were an opportunity to fight back. Throughout the hearing, a resolute Kennedy accused senators of lying, misrepresenting his agency, and making little sense. As a result, questionings from Democratic senators repeatedly turned into yelling matches. You're just making up stuff, Kennedy told Senator Tina Smith, a Democrat from Minnesota, after she accused him of blaming school shootings on antidepressants. The health secretary said on Fox News after the recent Minnesota shooting that antidepressants could potentially contribute to violence. Ladies and gentlemen, he literally said shit on Fox News and the lady called him out on it. And he said she making up shit. How is she making up something that you said, Robert? You said it. She called you out on what you said on Fox News, and you said she lied. Let's continue. And said his agency was investigating. While critics of antidepressants have long alleged they may increase homicidal behavior, the link is not supported by multiple large clinical trials of the drugs. When Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia questioned Kennedy about his disparaging rhetoric about CDC employees before a recent deadly shooting at the agency, Kennedy retorted, "Are you complicit in the assassination attempts of President Trump?" Kennedy said Senator Ben Ray Lujan of Mexico was talking gibberish when the Democrat asked him about the details of his agency's autism research. This fucking lunatic. Rizza Islam is crazy. Anyone listening to Rizza is slow. Mr. Secretary, let me speak slowly and clearly so that you can understand me through my New Mexico accent, he responds. Senators challenged the claim that anybody can get the booster for COVID. Democratic senators pressed Kennedy on recent changes narrowing the approval of annual COVID-19 shots. He repeatedly disputed or denied the accusations. No, I ain't donating. Last month, the Food and Drug Administration approved updated shots, but only for seniors, younger people with underlying health risks. That sparked confusion and frustration from many Americans, including parents interested in vaccinating healthy children against the virus. Why have you acted behind closed doors to overrule scientists and limit the freedom of parents to choose the COVID vaccine for their children? Senator Maggie Hassan of New Hampshire asked. This is crazy talk, Kennedy said. Later, he acknowledged that access to vaccines at pharmacies depends on the state. What the fuck? In many states, pharmacists are legally barred from administering vaccines outside the uses endorsed by the CDC's advisory panel, prompting CVS and other pharmacy chains to turn away people seeking shots in certain states. You promised that you would not take away vaccines from anyone who wanted them, Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts said. That's part of what went on at that hearing. That hearing was a shit show, just like Thug's trial. But y'all don't care, because there ain't no music, and you can't do this to it. Craziness. Tiffany, I'm just generally speaking, not specifically speaking, generally speaking. But like I said, we were more in tune with a trial for 2 years and who snitching on who than what the fuck was going on behind the scenes is what I'm trying to tell y'all good people. I mean, not to, God damn it. You know what I meant, Lindsay. And shut up, Shay. I was gonna correct myself. Anyway, what RFK Jr. got wrong, cause her, I ain't looking down at the picture, but her and what's her name be having the same shit, with the same like looking like shit. What RFK Jr. got wrong about vaccines during the Senate hearing, because there were claims about that. But I'm not going to go into what he got wrong about the vaccines, right? Because all of this information in this particular article is only focused on what he got wrong, which is every goddamn thing. And so this whole article points that out. But, you know, if you're interested in wanting to know what he got wrong about vaccines, it's the same shit that he's been getting wrong the entire time. There's nothing to really go over here. It's the same mistakes over and over, intentionally and unintentionally, to spark it. So the World Health Organization, because I have to use the World Health Organization, or YouTube will try to flag and shut down the channel because their recommended source for anything vaccine related is going to be the World Health Organization, and not limited to all the other stuff. So the document that I left in the chat that you can click on talks about COVID-19 and mandatory vaccinations, the ethical considerations. I showed you a book on another channel that talked about scientific integrity, and I also have a show on scientific integrity on this platform as well. Well, the aim of the document is to identify and articulate salient ethical considerations regarding mandatory vaccinations against COVID-19. This document is a policy brief initially published in April of 2021 in response to the changes in the COVID-19 vaccine landscape, including authorization of vaccines for children and additional information about and experiences with vaccine mandates for COVID-19. So this is a useful document about those mandatory vaccinations from who? The World Health Organization. What up, Teddy? So, vaccine mandates. We hear that a lot. Why do we have, can somebody tell me first in the chat? Can somebody in the chat, better yet, fuck this shit. Got me a chick, got a chick. Yeah, got me a chick, I got a chick. Here we go. Can somebody tell me why do we have vaccine mandates? Can y'all answer that in the chat? Somebody. Anybody. Everybody. To stop the spread of infectious diseases. Anybody want to add to what Tarka says about why do we have vaccine mandates? Are you against vaccine mandates? Got me a chick, got a chick. I told y'all we'd rather see Young Thug cry in an interview about how Gunna made him feel. He felt betrayed by Gunna. Can I start this shit? And don't create new strands of this shit, you know. So first, let's define what vaccine mandates are. Let's keep it simple. We ain't got to overexert it. We just want to be brief. Vaccine mandates are a way to compel people to get vaccinations. This could mean finding people who do not comply or excluding from the certain activities and locations like hospitality venues or workplaces. Several countries have introduced mandates of some type of COVID vaccines, but are controversial. Some in public health experts arguing education and persuasion should be preferred to compulsion wherever possible. COVID passports have emerged as a way of providing COVID vaccine status, but are not in themselves a vaccine mandate, particularly when testing included as an alternative. Does the UK have COVID vaccine mandates? In general, UK politicians argued against widespread vaccination mandate schemes, often on the grounds of liberty. The UK also already has a very high level of vaccine confidence comparatively, which has led some to argue a mandate is unnecessary. The UK gets vaccinated. They don't have this anti-vaccine bullshit that goes on here in the United States. Everywhere else in the world, vaccinating is not a problem. It is only in the United States. Are other countries using COVID vaccine mandates? The short answer is yes. They are. Several countries have introduced vaccine mandates, generally with exemptions for those who cannot be vaccinated. The potential benefits of the vaccine mandates, I just asked y'all this earlier. He said, nah, Sean, it's there. Imagine hitting Young Thug concert and nobody has vaccines. Oh yeah, you fucked up. Some nasty people. They drinking water that horses been drinking out of, dogs and cats and any other animal. Then come to the concert, you know what I'm saying, and might kiss on you, might drink out your straw. They put their mouths all on them, goddamn, yeah, nasty mofos. Anyway, Vaccine mandates aim to increase the level and or speed of vaccination programs by incentivizing people to come forward to be vaccinated, increasing the level of protection against the disease in the population. The arguments for them are generally strongest in countries where vaccine confidence is lower and when countries are facing a surge in infections and significant pressures on healthcare provisions. In some cases, evidence suggests that vaccine mandates have increased take-up. Vaccine coverage increased in France, Italy, and Germany in recent years after they introduced the extended vaccine mandate for various childhood diseases, for example. But this is not always the case. Ukraine had to end its mandatory measles and rubella campaign in 2006 after negative media response and controversy about alleged side effects. One study comparing different country approaches found no correlation between mandates and rates of childhood vaccinations in the EU. Effects could also be a part of the COVID vaccination. The vaccine hesitancy, driven in part by concerns about rapid development and long-term safety. Outcomes are also context dependent. One recent study of COVID passports suggests that they increase vaccination uptake in the short term, but not in countries which already had high updates. Got me a chick, got a chick, yeah. Let's go. So we get to Florida. We just talked about some vaccine mandates. We try to define what vaccine mandates are. They'll get a general understanding of why we use vaccine mandates. So now we end up in DeSantis, Florida. Florida become the first state to end all vaccine mandates, including in schools. We're not going to get too specific because we can just deal with the three key points. Point number one was Florida plans to end the state vaccine mandate, including children to attend school, said Surgeon General Thomas Joseph Ladapo, a prominent immunization critic. He's a critic of immunization. That's a problem. The move will make Florida the first ever state in the United States to withdraw from requirements credited with increasing vaccination rates in communities and preventing outbreaks of infectious disease. Oh, Lord. The rollback could result in fewer school children getting immunized against deadly viruses such as polio and measles. Y'all do not want neither one of those motherfuckers. Y'all remember that presentation I did showing the people with measles, the brothers? Y'all don't remember? Hold on, I'm finna pull the picture up. Yeah. Hold on. I don't want no dead silence. I want to keep y'all in tune. Come on, man. That's what keep y'all here, right? So I'm gonna show y'all this image again, right? Because it's important. We're gonna look at these boys' bodies real quick. Oh, I'm sending a picture to myself. Just hold up. Yeah. They definitely flagging this video today with that thug playing. I'm just saying, you know, I'm only playing his music because y'all care so much. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all, you know, people care so much. I can't say y'all. People care so much. So, you know. All right, I'm finna pull this picture up. Now, for all of y'all with weak ass stomachs, and you know what I'm saying, you see something that you can't handle your shit. This is the graphic image discretion coming up. There she go right there. Oh hell. Now we got the full bar reloaded in here. We got Lindsay, we got Shay, and now we got Tiffany. And now Hemi wants to join. Girl, I done dropped that a long time ago. He gonna hold on, Hemi. Hemi out of church. I thought Hemi still be in church. I thought it might be revival week. You feel me? Open image in a new tab. Again, for people with weak ass stomachs, I'm telling y'all now, this picture is graphic. These are two brothers. One was vaccinated against measles, the other was not. Here they go. Look at his fucking body. That's what measles will do. This is what they want to bring back. Grade schools. Robert F. Kennedy, DeSantos, Leopoldo, in Florida. I know of vaccine mandates. Okay, so we know that this pathogen has not gone anywhere. Measles, rubella is alive and moving and circulating throughout this atmosphere. We're going to say, nah, we ain't getting them vaccines. We ain't getting our kids vaccinated. So they're going to show up in school and they germophobic asses are going to be passing this shit around. And then when the kids start coming home looking like this, don't think that you can get a vaccine and get the shit up because it ain't going to clear up after you done got this shit. What's up, EIE? This is what it looks like between a vaccinated person and an unvaccinated person facing measles. You can't make this shit up. But we don't care nothing about this, right? We don't care nothing about that because we want to talk about Young Thug in his feelings, mad at his brother, and he admitted that that was his brother, that was his twin. He hurt bound. He mad because he signed a factual acknowledgments. Had he been able to take the plea without the factual acknowledgments, Young Thug wouldn't be mad. Y'all heard what I said about Kennedy, right? So guess what else that's going to bring back? This shit. Do y'all know what causes this? Huh? Do y'all know what caused this? Look at these mofos. Need help walking around. Do y'all know what causes this? Ding mother freaking dong. Polio. This what polio looked like. That boy said polo. You sound like that. You sound like A1. Polo. Teddy said, how long do you or do they live with measles? Bro, the rest of their life, bro. They try to gotta, man, you know how much doctoring you gotta do to try to, bro. They do all kind of stuff to keep him clean, keep you from scratching and itching. You know what I'm saying? It's a painful experience, bro. Some of that stuff be lasting 10 days. Some of it lasts 3 weeks. At minimum, you're looking at between 3 to 10 days on a run with measles. And that's with people treating that shit. Yes, Shay. It was a 6-year-old that died. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, measles too. But that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, the state of Florida removing the mandates, this is what happens. The children will be exposed to this. I'm not making it up. It's exactly what's going to happen. So I showed you one article, right? This is just to double down on the prior article about Florida and the mandates. And this is from the Miami Herald. And this is just basically co-signing the previous, so I'm not going to read it. But this is co-signing the behavior. DeSantis and Ladapo aim to make Florida the first in the U.S. to end all vaccine mandates. And they are proud of that shit. They are proud of that shit. 6-minute article. You know what I'm saying? If you listen to it, I'm not going to get into it. I'm not going to get into it. Because we have, for quite some time, eradicated these viruses, meaning to the point of non-existence, even though we know that they still exist, to a point of non-existence because herd immunity is so high within the realm of, you know, measles, mumps, rubella, polio, vaccinating against those things, right? Now you're going to tell us y'all going to bring that shit back. And it ain't going to do nothing but affect future kids. That's why I said my granddaughter is at risk. So this is another article. This is from the CDC, and it talks about vaccine mandates, public health imperative, and individual rights. This article is a 20-page article. It's not really 23 full pages, but it gives you a gist and an argument of why we have such mandates, right? So I didn't want to do this show and not provide you with any type of tools that would benefit you as it pertains to mandates, etc. So in 1796, Edward Jenner demonstrated the inoculation with material from cowpox lesions would protect against subsequent exposure to smallpox. This began the vaccine era. Although it was nearly 100 years until the next vaccine was introduced, in the 20th century, many new vaccines were developed and used with particular impact and on the occurrence of disease. The CDC declared vaccinations to be one of the 10 great public health achievements of the 20th centuries. So one of the greatest public health achievements, we want to do away with it. So this chapter describes the impact of vaccines in dramatically reducing infectious diseases in the U.S., the role of mandatory vaccinations, and achievements and impacting constitutional basis for these mandates. The chapter also briefly reviews the federal government's role in immunization process. So I wanted to, okay, I got you, Hemi. I wanted to give this to you because it was significant in the argument why we need these mandates, why immunization is important, and why we cannot go backwards on such great public health achievements. So Garrett Hardy's classic essay, The Tragedy of Commons, described the challenges presented when societal interests conflict with the individual interests. Hardy notes the incentives present when the cattle of community are commingled in a common pasture. At capacity, each owner still has an incentive to add additional cattle to the common, because even though the yield from each animal decreases with the addition of more cattle, this decrease is offset for the individual owner by the additional animal. With this incentive, individual owners continue to add cattle to the commons to reap the individual benefit, leading to the inevitable failure of the common from overgrazing. Community interest in maximizing food production, therefore, can be achieved only by placing controls of the interests of individual owners in those of community. So, yeah, this whole thing is dedicated to that. I don't need to rehash something that I even answered and said before, but it is what it is. And then there was the other article just to back it up that you have to have access to. And it tells you about the good reasons to vaccinate, mandatory or payment for risk, because it is high if you're going to take that risk and not get vaccinated. Yeah. Hepatitis B, chicken pox, yeah. Influenza, type B, yeah. Pneumonia, all that. Meningitis, they bring back all that shit that's been eradicated. Look at how long society has been up against those diseases that you're naming, Lindsay. All those issues right there. We have been protected against all of those things, and the motherfucker wants to allow them right back in people's lives. This is why you have to be educated on the argument on vaccine science. It is very critical, or you will have shortcomings and fall flat on your face. But no, none of this shit is important. It's not as important as learning if Gunna is a rat. So I'm gonna say that until him come up here. Gunna took an alpha plea. Nothing he said in the plea or took in the plea could ever be used against Young Thug. I want y'all to remember that. So when Thug came out in his interview the other day and said that Gunna signed his name on a piece of paper that the state could use to put him away for life, that was the ultimate betrayal. No, it wasn't. Because it could never be used. That's why Gunna name never came up. Anywhere in the trial, he couldn't be called to testify. His acknowledgments couldn't even be used. That's why they use Muntun's factual acknowledgement, put him back in jail, and then use it against Thug. But Muntu also had an alpha plea on another case that they try to bring back, and they effed that up, and that's why a lot of them was getting beaten the state, because the state was dirty and grimy. See, that's important, right? It was key points in that whole trial that was very important. However, that piques our interest, not saving our kids from these idiots in Florida and leading the White House. So I'm only trying to stay where I can meet you at. We all are adults. I wish we had a lot of youth that could listen to this, because they need to understand how that shit is irrelevant in the grand scheme of things, because it is intentionally being played to put those groups of people against each other and create a bigger distraction, while creating the whole Thug and Gunna, rat, snake slime, all that shit they can continue to wiggle their way into certain forms of policies that are beneficial for their supremacy and keep you ignorant. I read your previous comment. What you talking about? Yeah, I know they still in effect. You know what happened when you've been exposed to chicken pox? How many of your kids have had chicken pox? How many kids have, now I ain't talking about y'all, how many of your kids have had chicken pox? It ain't been a single child in my house that has had chicken pox. I had it. My little ghetto boy ass, I definitely had it when I was young. That shit itched. It was annoying. Taking baths and putting on camphorphenique and all this other shit, it was bad. I remember chicken pox. My kids don't even know what the hell a chicken pox is. Ray said none. None of her kids have had chicken pox. Don't know what it is. Oh yeah, calamine lotion. Yeah, y'all know what the hell it is. That pink bottle. Look at Gail T'Challa. He said chicken pox still exists. Hell yeah, it still exists. Shay said had them and it was the worst. He said, yeah, me and all my siblings experienced it. So all of us experienced chicken pox, but ain't none of our kids ever experienced chicken pox. For those of us who have been lucky, because there are some children who have caught chicken pox recently, along with measles and polio, because of vaccine numbers. Lindsay, you know why you never had it? Because your ass is young enough to get the vaccine. I should ask, do you know, not what I was just saying. Do you know if you were vaccinated against chickenpox? He said she probably in her 20s. I ain't gonna say no. I don't think Lindsay that young. I know she young, but I don't think she that young. She might be in her young 30s. See, there you go. She ain't ever had the shit because she had the vaccine. Yeah, so she definitely, right? She definitely benefited from that. She said, yes, I was a preemie. I got everything. Facts. Ray said, Lindsay's our baby. Raheem said, I'm 40. I was vaccinated for chickenpox in high school. Sheesh. My thing is, y'all, is that children, like my kids, my youngest kid's 13, right? He don't know what chickenpox is. His brother Elijah is about to be 18. He don't know what chickenpox is, and their older brother is 23, and he don't know what chickenpox is. They don't know what none of these viruses are that's running around here kicking people behind today. They don't know none of that. They all been afforded protection against those things. So now we have people that are anti all of that. We're gonna stop the mandates on all this. Yeah, we're gonna keep them on this and that, but we ain't gonna keep them on. No, you need to keep all vaccine mandates. Yeah, y'all got it when y'all was young because it was running rampant. It wasn't really a vaccine out there. And some people were dangerous to have in chickenpox parties. That was a problem in itself. It did would mess with your skin, Teddy. But that's something that we can relate to, right? Because think about it. While we were here talking about who had chickenpox and who didn't have chickenpox, and we can remember that, right? We all can remember chickenpox. We don't know shit about measles, mumps, rubella. We don't know nothing about polio. We don't know nothing about hepatitis. We don't know nothing about whooping cough. Guess what's coming back? Whooping cough is coming back. There's a vaccine for whooping cough, and people ain't even getting the vaccine. And next thing you know, then people have been diagnosed with whooping cough. Children, whooping cough. We don't listen. Our parents were in an era where there were viruses that were attacking and beating people up, and we wouldn't see them. Yeah, the bubonic plague. Yeah, it's crazy. Look, they gave you the whooping cough vaccine. You got the whooping cough vaccine when your daughter had your grandson. Oh, that's nice. Goes back to my point. That's the point that I'm making. Listen, I understand that we always want to come up with the safest way to be able to administer vaccines and to limit the reactions from these vaccines that we get. I understand all of that, right? But think about this. Think about this. All the shit that we avoided as children are re-emerging in your grandkids because now you're old enough and you have kids. Some of us have kids who are having kids, and now all that shit that skipped over you is about to be prevalent and relevant to your grandkids. And look at Gib. I'm 100% Native American. The only disease we experienced was Europeans. Hold on one second, y'all. My bad. Somebody called me, interrupting my good show. Them motherfuckers didn't even want me. All right, so I want y'all to think about that. All the stuff that skipped over us that we dealt with earlier on, and then it was like non-existent. All of that will have the opportunity to reemerge. So what if y'all had a vaccine or they killed 90% of y'all with just the germ? Oh, hey, Gib is trolling, bro. Don't Gib is African. You see his last name, Chala. Don't even pay Gab no attention like that. He just trolling. But no, I mean, people don't care. Tarka, people don't care, bro. If it ain't Lil Woody, Young Thug, or Gunna, go look on social media. I should have put that shit up just so I can show y'all what every other post is about. Every other post is about some motherfucking shit that ain't got nothing to do with us. At all, bro. What the hell happened, him? This motherfucker done hit the link, joined the show, and dropped off at the same time. I couldn't hit the button to let him on stage. He hit the link and dipped. He must got a phone call or something. Man. Man, it's what it is. Crazy. It's a crazy world. Trying to let y'all know, bro. And this nigga back. Make it 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1. Oh, he had to go get biblically ready. Yeah.
What's good with it, bro? What's good, man?
Chilling. You're a little low on your microphone, though.
Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can turn it
Nah,
up.
you good right there. You good.
Right,
whatever
right.
you did, yeah, whatever that was, that's perfect.
Yeah. Nah, I just had a few questions, man. And I know I'm a little ignorant on the situation. I ain't dumb, but I'm a little ignorant on the situation because I don't study vaccines. I just know a little bit about them. So my main question was like, if the vaccines work how they're supposed to work, right?
Mhm.
Then how could non-vaxxers be an issue for the vaxxers?
Great question. So the vaccines jobs is to train your immune system to recognize a foreign pathogen to the body. So and the vaccine's ultimate job is to prevent hospitalizations, death, and the spread of the disease. Right? So when you ask what you just asked about if vaccines are supposed to do what they're supposed to do, then why would the unvaccinated be an issue? Because there's this thing called herd immunity. If herd immunity is not reached, right, then what we just saw in the pandemic, when we kept seeing different versions of the original strand of the virus. So originally, when it came out of China, they named it a name. The original strand, they named it DG614. That was the original strand name, and then it mutated into Alpha and all these other new names that they started coming into, right? Because it was able to spread, mutate, and adapt. And it was able to do that real fast. And that's because we didn't have a defense mechanism against it. So what it kept doing is adapting very rapidly as it's making its way from one host to another. So when an unvaccinated person encounters the foreign pathogen, it could do a few things to that one person. They could have severe symptoms, or they can have mild symptoms, right? But then they are a host. So when you asked about the vaccine and it working against the vaccine, there's people that are immunocompromised, right? Which means they can get vaccinated, but they can't draw a defense mechanism because their immune systems are weak. So it would put people like them in harm's way. It would put small children and old and elderly people in harm's way. But it allows the virus and the unvaccinated to mutate and adapt. And the vaccine, right? If we ain't up on the science behind the vaccine, it can't defend it like it could if we were all vaccinated. So just to run that back down, is the reason for that is because unvaccinated people who encounter foreign pathogen give it the ability to mutate and adapt. When you give a virus the ability to mutate and adapt, the form that you got protection against is no longer affordable, meaning that if I'm vaccinated against the original strand, which came out of China, and then it mutated, adapted in Europe, and it became stronger, more robust, and able to escape and evade the protection that I had against the original strand because of its makeup, then I could be infected again. So you got to think about it.
I understand that, but I'm saying that's going to be the issue. The fact that viruses mutate in general, whether it's like you just said, because like you even broke down the point about a person who is indeed vaccinated, but they have no defense mechanism. The virus can mutate in them too. You dig what I'm saying? Because they don't have an actual defensive system, so they get vaccinated and still can spread the new virus that mutates in them because there was no defense in the first place. So that's what I'm just saying, that I ain't gonna say regardless, but I'm saying the likelihood that the vaccine can mutate, whether it's vaxxer or non-vaxxer, is extremely high, especially when, like you said, because of herd immunity. If it's rapid and fast and we can't jump on it right away, whether we all vaxxed or not, it's already a new mutation out there that we not accounting for. Just like the flu. That's why they come out with new flu vaccines every year, because we can't stop the spread of the flu. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and the cold virus.
Yeah,
but
right.
Yeah, but the thing, and you're right. But the thing is that if we had enough vaccinated, we slow things down. So now it's not as wild. It's more controllable. And the aim is to slow it down and make it controllable, because you got a population of people that just won't be able to have any type of protection against it, or just might not get vaccinated altogether. So if we hit that mark of 94% of the population, which we reached 90-something% of the population when the rollout occurred, but in the manner that it had, you had people that pushed back against it, and some of the biggest anti-vaxxers are vaccinated, which is crazy to me, but it is the case, because Robert Kennedy Jr., one of the biggest anti-vaccine candidates, was vaccinated and admitted it because his wife was having a party, and you couldn't come to the party unless you had proof that you was vaccinated. Crazy. An anti-vaxxer's wife is having a party at her house telling y'all to have your vaccination card. Crazy. But no, once we get that number, sweet spot, then they know that they can do everything else. This limits the virus's ability to mutate and adapt in people. But we've never seen SARS-CoV-2 in the manner that we've seen it. So that's why you haven't heard a lot of new variants, because that's what they call variants. So we ain't got a whole lot of new variants of COVID. There's been a recent one that popped up a few months ago, and before that, it wasn't one until a while ago. So that means that our efforts are working against it. And the only reason that this even makes sense to us, bro, is because if it wasn't for science and technology, we wouldn't be able to see this damn virus and break that virus down to see the differences in that virus versus the other variants, if that makes sense.
Right.
So we
No, I get you. So overall, what I'm getting from you, what you're saying is, you're not saying that it's gonna completely eradicate the virus. You saying that we can, if the more people that is vaccinated, the more we can slow this thing, and the more people can stop dying from it. That's basically what
right,
you're saying. I got
right,
you.
and
That makes sense.
that was
Okay.
the whole effort.
Yeah,
Go
I
ahead.
got you. Yes. Nah, I was saying I got you. That makes sense, because a lot of people argue from the curing perspective, like it's gonna stop the
Yeah,
virus spreading and stuff like that. And yeah, okay, I got you. Well, we're on the same page. I feel what you're
yeah,
saying.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you got to remember, a vaccine's job is not to cure it. It's not going to cure it. It's a preventative measure, just training the immune system. A vaccine, there's only one vaccine that's out there that has the complexity of being able to prohibit something from doing anything to a lot of us. It's only one, and you know, science is trying to get better to get it to get everything else. That's why they're working hard on the cancer vaccines, right? Because if they could take that same understanding and implement it in other areas, then it's a good sense. But then you have the other issue with the argument was how fast mRNA vaccine technology rolled out. Unaware, society was unaware that mRNA vaccine studies have been in the works for over 30 years. This wasn't something that was new to scientists. It was new to the general public's understanding of mRNA and mRNA vaccine technology. It was the perfect opportunity to move the needle using that mRNA, and that was spearheaded by people who have been investigating it for quite some time, which is one of the problems that we have with Dr. Robert Malone, who was a part of the earlier stage, but he wanted all the credit. But his steps and approaches towards certain things got him kicked off certain researches, and then he went rogue from that point, and he started superimposing things on mRNA technology that wasn't true. And then he started having those battles because he was no longer relevant. So now he's aligned himself with anti-vaxxers, and he made that push during the whole pandemic. But no, that's the perfect question that you asked, because that's the majority of people who don't understand the science. That's their thing. But if y'all vaccinated, why do it matter if I'm vaccinated? People keep thinking that it's a cure, thinking that it has to be this or that. It is definitely not going. It's definitely not that.
I got you. What we want to say, I appreciate that. That's why I came up here on the cool. We was talking about it in the back, and I was asking. Honey was like, "Man, go up there so Sean can teach you. You know more. You know, you can break it down." So, and you know, we didn't have plenty of back and forth. So,
right. But she got. So in the book, we kind of, I kind of speak to that as well, because I talk about what SARS-CoV-2 taught me, not no whole other science that I've gotten and did this, that, and the third. I'm talking about what I learned about this virus and the process of this virus emerging at the pace that it did, and how it then took over the world rapidly, and we got to see it. So in real time, we're seeing all these things transpire. Schools shut down. All these other places are shut down. You got to be what's the name of the people you have to be to work, to be able to go out and work? Essential, right? Essential workers are the only ones on the roads. Everybody else is in home now. They didn't took us out of offices to work. Well, we usually commuting to go to work every day. They didn't took everybody from commuting to go to work to at home jobs. Then a whole nother employment field of work from home emerges on every level from every other job, just to keep businesses going and everybody afloat and handling their things. Like, so when people, you know, like COVID's a hoax, how could a hoax cost people money, right? And keep people in the house? Yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. But nah, man, I kind of get, because some people don't understand herd immunity either. So it was things that I put in the book specifically to try to help people understand what these things when they hear it from scientists, or if they're reading the article, then you could pick up on it because, okay, they saying this right here. I got this from over here and shot it in the book. So we could cross-reference it a little bit quicker and just deal with it like that, man. But she said that deja vu all over again.
Yeah, but I understand a little bit about the herd immunity. It's just that every herd immunity is not always possible. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, just like with the flu and with the cold and with COVID, you know what I'm saying? We wasn't able to jump on it in time. And so that's why you have these several different strands that keep coming out. I mean, we controlling COVID a little bit better than the flu. But you know, it seems like because like you said, ain't no new strands have come out more recently. Seem like every 7-8 months it's a new strain of the flu. You know what I'm saying? So
you're right, it's seasonal, and the reason behind it is because the lack of research in certain fields. Like, think about it. When Obama was in office, and I'm not just saying this to say this, but when Obama was in office, there was research regarding SARS viruses, right? Understanding SARS. They already had people out in caves researching bats and all these different exotic animals that could end up in these markets, right? And to be honest, that point in time, a lot of those markets that were in China were shut down. You couldn't sell those exotic animals to people to eat on and feast on and all those things. Then that secretly emerges and comes back. But and our research is shut down. So there was funding for those projects. People just didn't understand that. Like, man, I'm gonna say this in the most respectful way. These white people have been looking for a way to survive forever. That's the best way that I can put that. So they are going to look at every solution to defy nature, no matter what. It is them versus nature, more so all of us versus nature. If you could understand that. And what I mean by that is they're looking for a solution for what potentially could happen just in case.
Right.
And we don't see that far into it. So it's easy for us to buy bullshit when they sell it to us. Right. And we run with the conspiracy theory versus just, okay, let's take a step back and let's see where it is. You know, is this one of those entertaining conspiracies, or is this one of those health concern, risk conspiracies that we really need to dive into and extract it and then put it to bed as quickly as possible? I don't think, you know, we kind of conflate those things, and we don't take certain shit serious until our grandmama, you know, is in the hospital. She didn't have COVID. She's been in there for 2 months. And then I know, like, when we black people, when we start hearing other black people dying from the shit, some of us took it more serious than others. Other people like, well, I don't know nobody that died yet. But then we talk to somebody else, like, I lost my auntie. You know what I'm saying? Like, my baby mama, her friend lost her mama to COVID. Her mama wasn't sick before, caught COVID, she lost her. So when think about that pain that she has, and then she sees somebody come up arguing on Facebook saying that it was a hoax. She wished it was. It took her mama.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just think that earlier on we kind of failed. The government failed us in being prepared, and we can put it. That's why Trump lost the presidency the first time. That's why Joe Biden existed. That's why Kamala Harris existed, because he did what Bush did when Katrina hit. He failed to realize the seriousness of the situation and it cost him, you know, being back to back. We would have been past Trump now, but that was the complexity of what happened, and that lost him his presidency outside his other ignorance. And I believe it made him more ignorant because he kept saying it was just a Chinese disease. It only can affect the Chinese.
Yeah.
Right. And then in March or April of 2020, then he go announce, oh, it's a pandemic. But you just told you just told your ignorant base, bro, that this was a Chinese disease, and everybody was, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, all right, man. I'm gonna let you get back to the rest of your show. I appreciate the knowledge as per usual, bro. We'll chop it up some more in the future on some different topics.
That's a fact.
All right. Yeah.
All right, bro. That was him, and y'all. Make sure y'all tap into the Bar Reloaded. He is a barbarian, and he just fresh off a debate. So I guess they wait to read the debate, so they can speak more on it. You got to talk to Honey Clark in the chat about that. But nah, man, I appreciate the question, because that is something that people ask, right? It is something that people want to know. Like, since all y'all vaccinated, why y'all care if I ain't vaccinated? You know what I'm saying? Like, we want that protection, and your children want that protection too. Because what if you live in a community where ain't nobody been vaccinated against measles, and then all of a sudden your first case come up, and then a week later you got 30 other people that got measles? These children do not need that smoke, man. With a foreign pathogen, we can't see it. It's too small. We can't recognize it. They have created and designed a special machine to be able to see these viruses. So how they maneuver, what's their entry point, you know what I'm saying? How they look. I thought all of that shit was important when learning about SARS-CoV-2. Right? Because we got to see how the virus looks and then how it enters the cell, which was most important. Right? These little bitty little microbes just latching on to your skin, defeating the hair, right? Going into the cells, infecting your cells, and creating a disease that spreads in your body and can cause a multitude of failures with your heart, with your brain, with your eyes, with your nose, with your taste buds. You know what I'm saying? And then you had COVID penis. So now it messed with your erection, right? COVID toes. Your feet look blue black. You know what I mean? Like, you had all kinds of different, a multitude over, what was it? Over 100+ different symptoms that the virus can cause in the body. That's important. That's important. And people wasn't even paying attention to that. Yeah. A lot of people didn't know that, yeah, you can get COVID penis. I ain't saying you want it, but a lot of people were coming up limp. COVID was knocking you down. Bruh, Tark, I'm with you on that one, bro. Yeah. You over there thinking something wrong, you'd have got COVID. Yeah, I remember when I ran down them studies on that. That's a book, like all of the stuff that it affect. I felt like all of that was important, man. The significance for that shit was crazy. I got the book in my hand right now. Chapter 4, the damage COVID-19 causes. Y'all know y'all can pull up chapter 4, you know what I'm saying? Man, I wrote this book a couple years ago, and it's so relevant. And I appreciate them doctors just keeping my shit and kind of understanding what's going on, man, because it was a good tool. Lungs. Your lungs get fucked up. That's a problem. I'll tell you how the shit ended. Listen to this. COVID-19, the disease caused by SARS-CoV-2, can damage the heart muscle and affect heart function. There are several reasons for this. The cells in the heart have angiotensin converting enzyme 2, which is ACE2 receptors, where the coronavirus attaches before entering cells. Heart damage can also be due to high levels of inflammation circulating in the body. As the body's immune system fights off the virus, the inflammatory process can damage some healthy tissue, including the heart. Organ failure. Bro, all of that. Your eyes. Listen to what I'm saying here. I said this information was critical in my eyes because it would further shed light on how damaging this would be to Black and brown people who live in impoverished areas and would likely be susceptible to being infected with SARS-CoV-2. Dr. Post also mentioned that there was still some unanswered questions surrounding people who would potentially develop long-term heart issues. She mentioned that the NIH was currently working with dozens of institutions attempting to track patients who have recovered from COVID-19. SARS-CoV-2 damage did not just stop at our lungs, kidneys, heart, and liver. It traveled within the brain, causing what we know now as brain fog, which affects your ability to think. This is why some people have a hard time remembering certain things. However, it also affects people's taste and smell, which are leading symptoms recognized by all physicians today. Then I go into a direct quote. Bro, I was trying to put this shit the best way I could for people to understand it. There's a wide range of symptoms, including headaches, dizziness, weakness, confusion, eye movement problems, seizures, and paralysis. Come on, man. Like, I really was like, every day I was into this shit. I was trying to learn, bro. I was trying to learn. I was trying to see how we were gonna come up with a solution. That one guy, man, what we listening? He said had COVID is crazy. Yeah, that one guy, it is crazy. Yep. It says we battle COVID from head to toe, literally outside our major organs. You have what many people call COVID toes, COVID tongue, and COVID skin. These are some of the effects of being infected with SARS-CoV-2. Yep. Hold on, let me get on down here where I get to COVID toes can develop at any age or sex. You may not pay any attention to the signs at first glance, but they come on quickly and are said to last 10 to 14 days on average. We still have some unanswered questions regarding COVID toes, like is it contagious and will it have a lingering effect on us in the future? COVID skin can lead to them rashes and all of that old shit. I put all that in the book. COVID tongue. Whoa. Oh, look. What else with this shit? Diabetes. Yep. Trigger diabetes. Chronic concerns. Yeah, bro. But that, when I said COVID, when I seen that, I was like, nah, man. I ain't trying to get down. I don't want my picklewood influence. By none of this. Hey, man. But yeah, so that's what the gist of the book is to help us understand what it is that we was talking about. I mean, because scientists was talking over our damn head. We couldn't do none of that. You probably had you probably had COVID kitty. Let me see. I think women had COVID kitty. Clitty. COVID clitty. Yeah. Y'all look like y'all might have had COVID clitty. Let me see something real quick. Give me a second. I'm trying to see if I pull up study. But see, y'all, you know, y'all love Thug. Having COVID-19 and long COVID can impact women's sex lives. Detention of COVID-19 in the vulvar lesion. Yeah. Got me a chick, got a chick. Yeah, got me a chick, got a chick. Yeah, money on my mind. Hold on, let me share my screen. Try to tell y'all. I try to tell y'all, I ain't want to listen to me. Y'all don't want to listen to the kid, bro. Come guys. As new information about coronavirus disease 2019 is discovered, clinicians are better equipped to make informed decisions for their patients. While current research suggests COVID-19 viral antigen is not found in the vaginal secretions, its detectability in the female lower genital tract may have clinical implications for obstetric or gynecologic care for women. We presented a case of 31 weeks gestation and simultaneous upper respiratory systems and vulvar vaginitis. She was found to have vulvar lesions positive for severe acute respiratory syndrome, COVID, by virus swab. This case shows that COVID-19 is detectable in the vulva. This may have implications for healthcare workers' exposure, personal protective equipment needs. While vertical transmission has largely not been reported, the presence of detectable virus in the female lower genital tract makes this a continued possibility and area of study. Now we're looking at y'all coochie lips for COVID. Yep. We're tracking it. We're trying to see. We're trying to... You know what I'm saying? Hold up. Lucky dropped a new disc.
Let's go. Bring your ass.
Uh-oh.
I ain't finna wait no time. Let go. Hey.
Uh-oh.
I can't keep listening to you shadow ban my nigga cause you out this bitch faking views. You broke as fucking this bitch probably dropped out of school. Now you on that bitch trying to go viral faking news. He do this shit for clout, that's why he got Tariq and shit in his videos. These niggas ain't even big enough, that's why I draw subliminals. These niggas ain't even big enough, that's why I draw subliminals. You just a pseudo coon. Hey, most of these niggas broken and literate, they can't even read the room. He say the Vikings black, my nigga sound like a damn fool. Everything you got came from a white man at BYU. You just a Jehovah's Witness and Mormonite. He think that he a Jacobite, but this nigga think he a Lamanite. Your skin black, nigga, they think you living with a curse. You always lying, you ain't monetized, nigga, you ain't got no purpose. I'm laughing out loud, nigga, you like a teenage mutant ninja turtle. I got a mask. Niggas in your shorts like that's a big foundation. It's pseudo watch your mouth, nigga, and it's full of self-hatred. Again, 12 hours straight. No salvation. I ain't arguing with this nigga ain't got no translation. He saying copper color, but he painted picture broke. All your sources that you quote is straight red post. You kind of hopping all night. I ain't arguing with no joke. Flat earth logic, these niggas ain't even build my pseudo. Say you solve, but you ain't, nigga, fuck that. Nigga saying Jake, nigga, hey, he say Frank Joseph, nigga, like that's the history. Talking about evil was in the nigga, that ain't no mystery. Bitch, you sound dumb as fuck. What you talking about, Memphis?
Well, you know there ain't a lot of cities out here.
What you talking about, Illinois?
We just saying, we know all the cities out here that say that.
Fucking dummy. Nigga be all this dumbass shit ain't even been across the country. Nigga don't fuck shit when you ain't getting no money. Nigga lucky the beat cut off. I'd have kept fucking going on his ass, nigga, all off the top. Hey, listen, bro. Put your best in the motherfucking booth. Okay, I'm recording this shit off the fucking phone. Not even trying on you, nigga. Put your best, and I'll cut it, bit. Get in the booth for real. And I'll smoke one of y'all ass, man. Stop playing. Let me like my shit.
I heard Lucky shooting at the elbows. Yeah, COVID tolls is crazy. But yeah, y'all, for JJ's, you know what I'm saying? You got COVID for JJ. That's why some of y'all ain't had no 6 drive. They had COVID down there. Don't live on the coast. It's 92 degrees. What that shoe polish on your fingernails? Yeah, y'all, but that's pretty much it, man. Anybody else got questions, comments, concerns, something they want to add to the build or something? I wonder this, you know what I'm saying? Lindsay and Shay and them act like they wanted the show. And Honey Clark, they act like they wanted the show yesterday. And then they back there arguing with him. Let's see what we get. You explained this to me a while ago, like some years ago on this channel. Yep, pretty sure. She said, "What in the holler you holy hell?" Yeah, right. You done had COVID coochie. Said, "I'm here, but I can't get on." Why you can't get on? Oh, I ain't asked you if you can get on. She act like she has some questions she want to talk about. She ain't hit the link yet. Oh, wait a minute. I'm gonna blame everything on COVID now. Yeah. Your cuckoo could get moist. Yeah, dry cuckoo. Yo, so real quick, I seen a lady put green beans, corn, meatloaf, manwich sauce, green peppers, red peppers, onions, all on a flat grill, a griddle, ketchup, mustard. What in the holy heck am I looking at? And mixed it all together. You know, I'm telling y'all, these pilgrims are sick. She said, I asked you why they saying the vaccine cause heart issues. You ain't see it. No, I ain't see that. In my book, I said it in my book why it cause heart issues. Hold on. I thought I read it. I read it to you in my book. You didn't hear the answer for it. Chapter 4 got the answer. But I did read it though when I started talking about the heart. That shit called pneumonia and all that. It messed with the tissues and the cells and all that around. You know what I mean? It deal with all of that. It'll shut off. You know how your heart need what? What does your heart need? What is your heart doing? It's pumping out what? COVID was causing blood clots. Did y'all know that? Did y'all know COVID was? Oh, hold up. So you too worried about coochie? Nah, she ain't put it in a coochie. Nah, she ain't put it in a coochie. But no, the blockage to the heart, right? So it damages those artery things in nature, creating blood clots. You get blood clots and all that. Chapter 4, though. If you ain't got the book, she got the book, she can tell you. It damages the heart muscle and affect the heart function. Like the cells in the heart have angiotensin converting enzyme 2 receptors where the coronavirus attaches before entering the cell. So the heart damage can also be due to high levels of inflammation. There's a reason. Circulating in the body. Body's immune system fights off the virus. The inflammatory process can damage some of the healthy tissues, including your heart. Coronavirus infection also affects the inner surfaces of veins and arteries, which can cause blood vessel inflammation, damage to very small vessels, and blood clots, all which can compromise blood flow to the heart or other parts of the body. There go your answer. Yeah. COVID was crazy. But that's why I did what I did. And I said what I said. So it's just an injury then. Okay, so it's more than just an injury, right? Because if I affect your arteries, if the virus attacks you and affect your arteries, you start having a bad heart, and down the road you might end up needing your heart replaced. Sean, didn't y'all debate RFK Jr.? Unc debated RFK Jr. on Sinetta channel, but Sinetta took the video down. I think Unc might have it privately and hadn't uploaded the video, but I think the video might have been made private. His name is A1. Who was A1? Honey Claw, hit the link, man. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, I helped him with some research and shit. That's for sure. But yeah, we already went at Robert F. Kennedy Jr. That's why I'm like, why the hell is this dude even relevant to, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy. What else? Who had the mumps? Lindsay has entered the studio.
Blessed be. What's up, Sean?
This motherfucker said, "Blessed be."
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you fine.
Hi. And yes, I did want the show. I just came up here because I felt like communication was getting crossed up in the chat. But the reason why I was asking you about that is because that is what I'm seeing a lot of anti-vaxxers say that is causing heart issues. I've seen some saying
Hold on, you get the
gene
vaccine
mutation.
or the virus?
No, I was talking about the vaccine.
Okay, so let's go backwards. Let's rewind. Okay.
Rewind.
All right. Now I'm glad that you said that. So in regard to the vaccine, you have to remember the virus causes whatever they say the vaccine does, the virus causes it times 10. So what they're referring to is there was a study published as it pertains to myocarditis, which is like a heart issue, right? From like one of the symptoms from the vaccine. So myocarditis, but the myocarditis didn't show up in females. It didn't show up in teenage females or females in general. It only showed up in teenage males, the myocarditis. And it was very small. So if we vaccinated 70,000 teenagers, there was a small percentage of less than 10% of those that would have some effect of myocarditis, which is presumably a small injury or a hesitation and then you're fine, right? We don't have any deaths that are linked to myocarditis.
Okay.
Trying to remember all the signs behind it because myocarditis shows up in like
Is it like a heart arrhythmia or something?
Yeah, but it showed up in it wasn't mRNA vaccines, it was in the Johnson & Johnson. So they shut down the Johnson & Johnson because a man and a woman a man and a woman had died from a response to Johnson & Johnson, but Johnson & Johnson wasn't mRNA. Johnson & Johnson was a stage 2 vaccine with the technology. So it was the old way, a weakened version of the virus. And myocarditis showed up in the Johnson & Johnson study. So they took it off the market, left only Moderna and what's the other one with
start with a P?
Pfizer.
Pfizer.
Yeah, those are the two main ones that they were kind of running down the line with. Then they brought back Johnson & Johnson after they have, did more work on trying to get it feasible. I ain't at home and streaming or just pinch me off. Whatever.
No, I want honey up here.
You're lying.
I have another question because Sean, focus. I have another question. So because I read all the pseudo stuff that people say about the vaccine.
Of course you do.
Excuse me. Anyway. Well, somebody has to read it so that you can tell them that they're misinformed. Hello. But anyway, another thing I'm seeing is they're saying that the vaccine has some kind of technology in it that can mutate your genes.
No.
I know that, but I just want to bring it up on your show since you're doing the information part, because this is where a lot of people they go down that rabbit hole and they're misinformed. So yeah, that's another.
That's one of the claims that came on earlier on in the pandemic, and that has been refuted. There's no evidence of replicating any gene or any response for that matter regarding that. So no, and they were trying to blame that on the technology, saying that the technology could impede or manipulate or affect your DNA. With mRNA technology, mRNA vaccines do not enter the cell. Therefore, they don't even get to your nucleus to even harm or communicate with your DNA. It stays on the outer layer of that cell, and it comes up with a replication because it ain't nothing but a bunch of sugar, salts, and things of that nature that are compiled in and that are used to get the mRNA, the what we want to call the pseudo mR, the pseudo virus into your body to train it, so you can recognize it. So nah, it don't do any of the mutating genes and things of that nature. That's something else, and that ain't sure ain't got nothing to do with us.
Right. Oh, another thing, one more thing, and then I'll let you to it. Uh, they also mentioned this spike protein. What is that? Why is
That's an
that such
old
a
yeah.
hot topic?
So spike proteins, they don't understand what the spike proteins are. So the spike is the entry level of the cell. So they used to try to say cytokine storms was caused by spike proteins, but that will come from vaccinated people. Cytokine storms, which would be associated with the spike. But you have a synthetic, which is the word that scientists often use, that has a synthetic version of the virus. So the spike proteins were irrelevant to that, which necessarily means what you're trying to argue or counter with the whole spike protein argument would be pseudo anyway, because you're not even using the real, what I mean, the real receptors off the virus to enter into the area to train it. But no, they were trying to say also outside of cytokine storms, they were talking about shedding. So basically they would say like vaccine shedding, that was an issue. What about virus shedding? Have you ever heard about virus shedding? Most people ain't even paid attention to virus shedding. So
I've heard it before. I can't
yeah,
really tell you, but I've heard it before.
so basically what it is if with virus shedding, let's say you've been infected with a virus and you've been infected with a virus, right? And within like 1 to 3 days, your body just goes through a transition of shedding the virus, like literally shedding. So what way are you releasing it? Well, you only get rid of viruses a few ways. You either gonna piss them out, you either gonna poop them out, or you're gonna throw up some kind of way. They're gonna come out of your mouth, right? So when your body is going through that phase, most people were thinking about if you're sweating or it's coming out of your skin and you're scaling. Like, no, that ain't even what that is. You have to really understand those things before you start asserting it. But any claim they try to put on the vaccine is 10 times the work. Who was that right there?
Oh, that was me. Sorry. I didn't want to speak over you while you were talking.
Go ahead, man. What's up? What's your name? Where you from?
Just call me Bear. I'm from the UK. Just found your stream. Figured if I could jump in.
Okay, Bear from the UK. What's up?
I literally just come across your stream. Figured it could be an interesting conversation. So.
Okay. What's your position?
So with the position, what's the position on?
On vaccines, Bear. We're talking about COVID.
Oh, right. So, yeah, with the COVID vaccines, I would say they're untrustworthy.
Okay. Well, did you get vaccinated?
I didn't. No.
No. Okay. What was your reasons?
Or if you had massive public pushback against it, and also all the different things coming out about it that you would not see with any other vaccine.
Okay, what were those things?
So there was a lot of cases of people who were getting it and they were falling ill. There was pregnant women getting it that were having defects or miscarriages. There was also people getting it and it was it actually made them worse than having the virus itself. And with a lot of people talking out about it and pushing back against it, it was enough to go, hang on, with all this attention, something's got to be right.
Okay, so first, there's not a study out there that said that vaccinated women would lose babies. There has not been a study that proved or promoted that. As a matter of fact, it's more prevalent in women who were unvaccinated that got COVID that had many issues. It was not the vaccinated. You did not want a natural infection versus a vaccination as it pertains to children anyway. The other part about the other stuff that you were saying was merely just claims. None of it was backed by scientific data. I don't care about people's hesitancy in receiving anything that they have their own prerogatives on how they survive certain things. But what I'm more interested in is that if we come to a conclusion on something, what evidence was used to come to that conclusion that would prevent you from even getting a vaccination?
For me, it would have to be with the NHS results that were published, I think it was 2 years ago, where it was all the stuff coming out about that.
But which study, what stuff in particular that would have prevented you? Because they have to show you, right, that if you get vaccinated, you're going to have some type of response to this. Your body's never seen it before. It was a novel virus. So initially, you getting vaccinated, you would have some type of reaction, whether it be a mild response or a little to no response. And then there was some people that might be sick for a day or two, but other than that, they would be perfectly fine. That was better than what the virus would have done to them had they not been vaccinated.
Oh yeah, I mean, I know that you can get a vaccine and have reaction, even with other vaccines. It was just, for me, it was just seeing how en masse it was.
En masse? What do you mean? Because the way that mRNA technology worked, how quickly the production of the vaccine was?
More just, so let's say you got the vaccine for, let's say, measles. You get the vaccine for measles. You and 100 other people get the vaccine, only 2 have a reaction. When it comes to the COVID vaccine, it was you and 50 other people having a reaction.
Not so true, because there was several people behind me that got the vaccine. I got the vaccine. It told you that, like, you're susceptible to having some type of response, and some of it would be a day. Some people would have no response. Some of it would be a day, some might be 2 or 3 days, but they would say that you might have pain at your arm at the injection site that would linger on. Maybe not today, but it would be tomorrow. But other than that, that would subside. So everything that because you're UK, so it's a little bit different. So I don't want to speak toward the experience. I'm only trying to speak toward what we faced when we were receiving the vaccination. So they would give us a checklist of things on how potentially it could react, or once we've had the vaccine, we would have to sit. We had to wait before we even could leave, because if there was an unnatural response, some type of response, they wanted to handle it right then and there before we got on down the road. So I think we were more trained in understanding that based on where we were with the science and technology that advanced at that point. But like I said before, like a lot of the stuff that they're saying about the vaccine, the virus multiplied by 10. So you either took a risk, or
I think America was better with its handling of the vaccinations, though.
I would agree. I don't know how it was done in other places, because I know how it's done in Africa, but I don't know how it was done in the UK. So I could understand wholeheartedly if the efforts were not at the same level.
Because I think with America, it was the top 3 pharmaceutical companies in the world that produced the vaccines, but in the UK, it was just this like university college one that did it.
I gotcha. Okay, but I thought y'all had access to like Moderna and Pfizer as well.
We got that later on.
Oh, later. Okay, I got it. Oh, okay. Did you ever tested positive for COVID?
Only once, when it was locked down, but that was it.
During the lockdown?
Yeah.
Okay. What was your body's natural response to COVID?
So I was like ill for 2-3 days, and then it was just a like bit of a slow recovery getting past it. But after the, I'd say 5th, 6th day, I was like back to normal.
Oh, okay. So you had those early responses.
Yeah.
Okay. Did anyone else around you get sick?
Oh yeah, I was in a household with other people, so they had it as well. They were pretty much the same as me.
Yeah. Just symptomatic, asymptomatic. Well, yeah, symptomatic responses to it. I got you.
Mm.
Do you think that it was do you think the higher powers created? You think that it was I could say it this way. You think that it was made in the lab or was from natural origins?
Oh no, definitely not, because a lot of people were coming out saying it was manufactured in a lab, but no, COVID has been a thing for a while. That it's always been a thing.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Okay. Oh, my bad, my phone. Hey, are you from? I know you said the UK, but Welsh, Celt, Brit,
Oh, like yeah, British, like Northern.
Northern Brit. Okay, all right, okay. How was life there?
Not the best, but you carry on.
That's a fact. During shutdown, did y'all have to wear masks?
Yeah, and sometimes gloves.
Gloves too. Okay. Did y'all have to work from home?
For a lot of people, yeah, if they could do that, but I was in a job where, like, I worked in a shop, so I had to still go in and stack the shelves.
Oh, okay. You was an essential worker.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right, man. Well, you got any questions for me before we end?
No. If you're ending the stream, I'll hop off. I didn't know you were finishing up, Chief.
Yeah. We toured the tail end. We've been live for a few hours.
No worries then. I'll hop off then, Chief. Thank you.
Hey, man, you enjoy the rest of your day. Appreciate you hopping on, man.
You too, Chief.
Take care. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we just got some love from the UK. There you have it. Listen, I'm gonna get up out of here now, man. It ain't much left that we could actually discuss. Yeah, he was cool. He wasn't. I don't think he's an anti-vaxxer though. You know what I mean? From the perspective of, they really. You got to think about it. Like people that are just fully like anti-vax, they don't have an argument. You know, it is what it is with them. But nah, it was cool. Well, no thing. So I was gonna let him talk if he had anything he wanted to get at. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it on up, man. I don't know if we on the raz, bro, but I might have to start coming back. If I have to start coming back on this channel about this vaccine, man, that's a problem for me because that means all the efforts and things that we put in prior to just going out the window. Yeah, but hopefully, all is well in the land of, the land of the lost. I'll catch y'all later, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of y'all evening. Have a good one. It's your boy Sean P in the place to be. Dealing with the world affairs and the state of ignorance. Be safe, be smart, be. I might be back on the Masa Warrior Clan later. I don't know yet. I'm about to you know, handle some business. Peace out.